Okay, got rid of that interruption. I wish I could take that phone off the hook. Okay, again, I want you to remember that this sole goes around the whole perimeter of the foot here. Okay, and that the coffin bone ends right here. Let's see, how would that work? Let's see. Right here, and your heels, I think it's right here. Anyway, your heels here, the very back of your heels are cartilage. Okay? So, the angle of the toe wall plays a very important role in the positioning of your coffin bone into this sole ridge here correctly, so that there's no weight on the under surface of the bone to where it's pushing up and remodeling this coffin bone. And I'll show you some x-rays of coffin bones that are remodeled because they're not sitting in the right place on the sole, in the sole. Okay, so let's get rid of that for now. Just put you down here. Okay. Now, when I first started, as I said, I showed you this picture here. Let me bring it over. Right here. Okay? And I told you I read about the toe stay and or sole stay. Because it's around the whole sole. It's not just in the toe, but you got to remember that back in those days, about 100 years ago, okay, people were way more educated than we are, whether you believe it or not, and they knew that the horse's foot was basically a toe. So they called the whole foot the toe. Okay, so even though they called it the toe stay, okay, it's the whole foot, so it's the whole sole that goes around the perimeter of the foot here. Okay, so I was looking at this while I was talking to y'all, and I thought, that just doesn't look right. That just doesn't look like this is where it should be. The weight looks like it's more under here, like this is pressing down. So I've been messing around with paint and the angles on hooves, and I got to share some really important stuff with you about angles and how this affects the coffin bone, the weight distribution, the whole ball of wax. Okay, now I want to show you something. Okay, what I realized about this hoof wall here was that the angle was not correct to get this ridge of sole underneath the tip of the coffin bone where it should be. Now we're going to change the angle on this hoof just by going like this. And I want you to watch this part here, how as this goes up, it will put your sole ridge here more under the bone here. Okay, watch this. See there? See how that changes the angle? Now remember, my wall previously was more like this. But as I brought the toe back, okay, it brought the sole back underneath the bone better. Okay, and this is what's basically going on in all our domestic horses. Their toe angles, and the toe is stretched out to where this sole here is not correctly under the bone. Skeeter, would you quit? She's scratching over there. Okay, so I'm going to show you something really interesting here that I figured out as I was doing all this. Just a minute here. Let's undo. Let's take this back in case we need it again. Get it back to where it was. Okay, we're going to move it back up here. Okay, now I'm going to show you a foot that is a really good foot. Good angles, right angle of the coffin bone, from front to back and on the dorsal wall. This is like an awesome specimen here. Oops. Let's get the, oops, I cut the toe off my foot up there. Oh well, I don't care. I'm not going to be using it again. Let me cut it out. Okay, now this sole here is meant to be a certain shape, okay, and the wall is meant to be at a certain angle. Now, according to Wild Horse Research, their toe angles are anywhere from 55 to 68 degrees, believe it or not, okay, and plus their toes are very short. Okay, now I'm going to show you something that happens. We're just going to take a portion of this wall and the sole, and we're going to move it forward from this foot. And it's going to simulate what happens when the toe grows long and pulls all this forward. Okay, so watch this. This is very interesting. Okay, now remember, this is the sole. First, we're just going to take the sole itself and part of the wall right here. Okay, now I'm going to move it forward, and it's going to simulate the same exact thing that happens when your wall grows long and your toe flares forward. Okay, now first notice how the bone here is right in the V-shaped space that holds it, keeps its shape. See, being in here helps the bone keep its shape. Just a minute. Okay, now watch this. Oh my! What's going on now? Where is the bone sitting? It's not sitting where it was supposed to, in that little V-shaped ridge there. Rather, where is it sitting? It's sitting on this part of the sole. Right here. Looky here. It's sitting right here. On flat sole. Okay, now I'll show you something else. Let's put it back. Okay, now let's take a little bit of the frog with it, because you know all this is connected together, right? Okay, so okay, let's do this. Oops, wait a minute. Okay, so let's take the frog, because as I said, all this is connected together. Because see, what you'll find is your frog stretches forward with the wall and the sole when they stretch forward. Watch here. Looky there. Okay, now the apex of my frog was about here. Now it's clear up here. Do you think this is going to make a difference in your mapping if you're using the apex of the frog to find out where the true break, where the coffin bone is, and where you should bring your breakover back to, so that you're wanting to back up your toe if it's like this. Okay, you're wanting this wall to come back and push all this sole ridge back where it's supposed to be. And most importantly, you're wanting the toe of this bone here to fit in the groove it was designed to fit in. Okay, so this changes your mapping. If you're using the apex of the frog, you won't get your mapping correct, and your toe and your breakover will still be too long, and so it's still not going to come back properly. And these frogs can